Perfect. All right, fabulous. So we're just going to get started in, really as usual, any seated pose that feels really good for you. I'm just going to get into Sukhasana, easy pose, just with a gentle across the legs. I just want you to give it a start by placing the tops of the hands on the knees, maybe bringing the thumb and the index finger together in a symbol of universal consciousness. So just gently beginning to close the eyes, beginning to lengthen through the spine. I'm just starting to take some gentle, deep breaths, inhaling through the nose as you expand the belly. And exhaling through either the nose or the mouth, tucking the navel in towards the spine. Our quote today is pretty simple, but I think pretty powerful, which is that sometimes the most important thing in a day is the rest between two deep breaths. So just remembering to breathe during your practice today. And we'll get started just opening the eyes, maybe just beginning to take some half neck rolls, dropping the chin to chest. And slowly on the inhale, bringing the chin and the ear to the right shoulder. And on the exhale, dropping it back down through center, chin and ear to the left shoulder. And just making your way with these gentle neck rolls from side to side. Beautiful. Stopping your gentle neck rolls on the inhale, reaching the arms up. And on the exhale, hands through heart center. And we'll just do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Just 1 more. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, hands through heart center. And we're going to make our way into a tabletop. So taking the wrists underneath the shoulder, the knees underneath the hips, we're just going to take some gentle cat-cow. So on the inhale, dropping the belly, shifting the gaze and the tailbone upwards as you broaden through the collarbones. And on the exhale, curling the spine, tucking the tailbone in, and tucking the chin to the chest in your cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, shift the gaze. Heart pours forwards into your cow pose. And exhale, tucking in the tailbone and the chin, curling the spine into cat. And just begin to move at your own pace, maybe finding any circling, any organic movements that might feel good in the body. Just recognizing whatever feels good for you in this practice today. Beautiful. And when you're ready, stopping that. And we're going to slowly begin to come into our tabletop and just walk the hands down towards the mat into your extended puppy pose, melting the heart towards the earth, maybe placing the forehead or the chin on the floor. And if you're living in a pretty open body, feeling free to press up onto the fingertips to open up a little bit more in the shoulders. And from this melting heart pose, taking the right hand, and we're just going to thread the right arm underneath the body, planting the right shoulder into the mat as we gaze towards the left side wall. Now, if it feels good, reaching the left arm up into the sky, taking the hand behind the back, and maybe threading the left hand to the inner right thigh. And just keeping the hands where we are, we're slowly going to begin to sit up, finding ourselves in a spinal twist. And if you got a little bit lost, just sitting back down onto the heels and gazing over the left shoulder. Right hand is across the left knee. And untwist, walking yourself back into your extended puppy pose, reaching the arms out in front of you. This time, taking the left arm, threading it underneath the body, bringing the left shoulder and left ear to the floor. Maybe if it feels good, reaching the right arm up, taking it behind the back, and threading the fingertips into the inner left thigh. And again, keeping the hands where they are, just beginning to sit back onto the heels, finding yourself in a spinal twist, gazing over your right shoulder. And if you got lost, again, just sitting back up onto the heels, twisting over to the right side. Left hand is over the right knee. Beautiful. Gently begin to untwist, walking the hands back down onto the earth. Take one more extended puppy or melting heart pose. And bring yourself back into a tabletop, walking the hands underneath the wrists. Then we're just going to get started tucking the toes, coming into our first downward facing dog, spreading through the fingers, and just beginning to bend one knee at a time, opening up. Taking any really subtle movements that feel good here in your downward facing dog. My apologies, I just have to adjust this on my computer so it's not loud. Beautiful. When you're ready, you're gonna step or hop to the front of your mat, making your way into a deep forward fold. Now it's our first forward fold today, so maybe you take a gentle bend in the knees. And again, maybe you just bend one knee at a time, just feeling that nice release. And on the inhale, root down through the feet to rise up, taking the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, make your way into a flat back, and exhale, plant the palms, step the feet back. Make your way into a high plank, and we'll come into our first optional vinyasa. So maybe you come into a vinyasa, or maybe today you just go straight into a downward facing dog, whatever serves your practice. Otherwise, chaturanga, that push-up position, tucking the elbows in tight. Upward facing dog or cobra, planting all 10 toenails into the mat. And tuck the toes for your downward facing dog. And again, gazing towards the front of the mat, we're going to start building just a little bit of heat, and step or hop to the front. And inhale, flat back, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root down to rise up, reaching the hands towards the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center. And we're going to make our way into a chair pose. So beginning to shift the toes to touch or the knees to touch. And on the inhale, begin to sit the bottom back. I like to graze my fingertips towards the floor to get a little bit lower. Reach the arms out to either side of the ears. And really sink back into your chair. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, make your way into a flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back. Optional vinyasa. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And downward facing dog, remembering to breathe. On the inhale, right leg comes up into the sky for a 3-leg dog. And on the exhale, we'll make our way into a warrior one. So threading the foot in between the hands, spinning the back left foot at a 45-degree angle and reaching the arms up. Making sure you can see the toes, stacking the knee over the ankle. And on an inhale, then an exhale, take the hands behind the back, thread the fingers together. Really open up through the shoulders. And if it feels good, coming into a humble warrior, so shifting the torso forwards until your right shoulder is on the inner side of the right knee, letting the shoulders flap over, or the hands rather flap forward. And when you're ready, slowly rising back into your warrior one, reaching the arms up. We're gonna open up into a warrior two. So bringing the right hand in front of you, left hand behind, arms in a T. You're gonna find the torso facing the left side wall. On the inhale, reverse your warrior, dropping the left arm to the thigh, reaching the right arm overhead. And exhale, making your way back through your warrior two. You're gonna find your version of extended side angle. So option one, maybe you take the right forearm to the right thigh and reach the left arm overhead, spiraling the left pinky towards the floor. Option two, maybe you take the right hand down to the floor, maybe it's to a block. And option three, maybe you take a bind, bringing the left hand behind you, right arm underneath the thigh, bringing the hands to clasp as you gaze upwards. Just finding your version of the pose today that best suits you. And on the inhale, making your way back into your warrior two, slowly begin to straighten the front leg. And we're just gonna hinge from the hip creases, reaching forward, making our way into our Trigonosaur, our triangle pose. As you reach forward, gently begin to drop the right hand, either to the ankle, maybe to the floor, to a block. Gaze upwards if it's comfortable on your neck. Making sure that you keep just a really gentle micro bend in the front knee, just to ensure that we don't hyperextend. And we're gonna slowly begin to make our way into a balancing half moon. So maybe if you have a block, putting it a few inches in front of that front foot. Otherwise, just slowly beginning to bend into the right knee, taking the fingertips a few inches in front of you, and reaching the left leg upwards, opening up the hips to the left side wall. Finding just a really soft gazing point, your drishti, to focus on. And if you're feeling pretty comfortable here, pretty balanced, you can always see how it feels to take a hold of the left foot with the left hand. If you did take a hold, releasing and slowly, gracefully finding your way back into your warrior two. Gazing towards the front fingertips. On the inhale, dropping the hand for reverse warrior to the left thigh. And exhale, cartwheel the hands to either side of the right foot. Step it back. Optional vinyasa, chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. On the inhale, left leg comes up. Three-leg dog, and thread the foot in between the hands. Spin the back foot at a 45-degree angle and find your way into your warrior one. Facing forward the front of your mat. When you're ready, maybe taking the hands behind the back, interlacing them with the opposite thumb on front. Opening through the shoulders, taking a deep inhale, and on the exhale, hinging from the hip creases, folding forward, allowing the left shoulder to come in towards the inner side of the left knee, allowing the hands to drop forwards. Find yourself in your humble warrior. And inhale, rising all the way up. Take the hands overhead and open them up into a T for your warrior two, gazing over the left fingertips. Making sure you externally rotate that left thigh outwards a bit so that the knee is pointing forwards. On the inhale, drop the right hand to the right thigh, reach the left arm overhead for your reverse warrior. And on the exhale, you're going to find your version of extended side angle pose. Option one, maybe you take the left forearm to the left thigh, reaching the right arm overhead, spiraling the pinky towards the floor. Option two, maybe the left hand comes to the floor or to a block. And option three, maybe you take a bind, reaching the right arm behind you, left arm comes underneath. Hands come to clasp to meet one another and you gaze upwards. Again, finding whatever supports your practice today. And from your extended side angle pose, making your way to your warrior two, we're going to make our way into Trigonosaana, slowly straightening the front leg and hinging from the hip creases, slowly releasing the left hand either to the floor, to the left ankle, or maybe to a block. Gazing upwards if it's comfortable on your neck. Maybe you keep just a nice micro bend in that front knee. And again, we're going to make our way into a balancing half moon. So maybe you take a block a few inches in front of the foot. Otherwise, take your hand, your left hand, bring the fingertips to the front, in front of your left foot, and start to reach the right leg up, opening up the hips towards the right side wall. If you feel pretty comfortable with your balance, you can always take the right hand to the right foot and open up just a little bit further. If you did take a hold of that foot, releasing and slowly allowing the right leg to drop down onto the mat, making your way back into your warrior two, gazing over the left fingertips. Inhale, drop the right hand to the right thigh, reach the left arm overhead. Reverse your warrior. And exhale, hands come to either side of the left foot. And step it back. Optional vinyasa, chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra. And downward facing dog, beautiful. In your downward facing dog, we're going to find a dolphin pose. So beginning to take the forearms to the earth. Maybe you walk the feet in a little bit closer to the body. Really working to press the crown of the head away from the floor. And slowly begin to walk the feet back. So we find ourselves in this low dolphin plank. Forearms still pressed to the ground. Finding a nice straight spine. And gently begin to lower the hips to the floor, making your way into a Sphinx pose. So again, keeping the forearms pressed to the earth in front of you, stacking the elbows underneath the shoulders. Maybe you open up the legs a little bit, letting the tops of the feet ground to the earth. And just gaze forward, feeling a nice release in the back. We're slowly going to allow the chest to drop to the earth, taking the hands. And we're going to interclasp them behind the back. And on the inhale, reach the chest up, coming into our half locust pose, opening and broadening through the shoulders. And exhale, release. And this time on the inhale, reaching the chest up. Maybe you also reach the legs up off the floor into our full locust pose. And exhale, release, beautiful. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, make your way back into warrior two, peeling the tailbone up towards the sky. And on the inhale, gaze in between the hands and step or hop to a seat. We're gonna make our way into a Nirvasana, a boat pose. So on the inhale, reaching the arms out in front of you. You can slowly lift the soles of the feet off the floor. You could take whatever version feels good. We're just gonna hold here. Maybe option one, you've got the hands supporting the thighs, which is a beautiful option. Option two, you're reaching the hands out, or option three, you can straighten the legs, straighten the arms. It's a little early for me, I'm not quite there yet. But if you're there, you go right ahead. And just hold, really lengthening the spine as much as we can. And release the feet to the floor, hug the knees, just let the head drop in between. And just take a few deep breaths. And slowly making your way back up. Take the legs out in front of you. We're just gonna come through a nice forward fold. So on the inhale, reaching the arms up. And on the exhale, hinging from the hip creases as we fold forward. Remembering to think belly to thighs as opposed to head to knees, really lengthening through the spine. On the inhale, slowly rise your way up. And we're going to make our way into a shoelace or half cow pose, whatever you want to call it. So beginning to bend the left knee, taking the foot to the side of the right hip, and then bending the right knee, stacking it over the left. So that now you've got the right foot right next to the left hip. And if you want to just stay here, if this feels like a good enough stretch for you, please feel free. If you'd like to fold forward, that's another option. You can go right ahead. I'm just going to incorporate an eagle arm pose. So reaching the arms into a cactus, I'm going to take the left underneath the right, and then I'm going to take a double bind, clasping the palms together. And then I'm going to fold forward. So if that feels good for you, feeling free, just because I think it adds just a nice opening through the shoulder blades. And on the inhale, rising upwards. I'm going to do that in the opposite legs, opposite arms. So you can either just recross the legs as feels good. I'm going to do a little swivel here. So pressing the outer edges of my feet to the ground, I'm going to take a little spin and find myself this time stacking the left knee over the right in our shoelace pose, getting there however you would like. So this time, if you are taking the eagle arm variation, bringing the right arm underneath the left, and then clasping the hands together and folding forward. Trying to see if you can get both the sits bones to ground into the mat. Sometimes we find that one of them wants to pop up a little bit. And on the inhale, making your way out of the pose, reaching the legs out in front of you. And we're slowly going to drop our backs down onto the earth, slowly as you can. Releasing, taking any final movements that might feel good for you before we reach our Shavasana today. So bringing the legs out in front of you, letting the hands come to either side, flapping the feet. Just gently beginning to close the eyes. Taking a scan through the body, giving each part of the body permission to release and really melt down into the earth. Quiet mind, quiet body, Shavasana. And from wherever you are, maybe wiggling through the fingers or the toes, maybe taking a full body stretch, just starting to bring yourself back into your awareness. Maybe you come onto your side and slowly bring yourself back to a seat. We'll take the hands to heart center. Otherwise, of course, please feel free to stay in your Shavasana if that feels good. The light in me recognizes, honors, and loves the light in you. Namaste, yogis. Thank you guys so much for coming. I've never done a 30-minute Vinyasa flow. It really flew by for me time-wise. I hope it did for you as well. And yeah, I hope you just have a really beautiful week. Bye, everyone. Thank you.